Hey guys, welcome to Sippin' and Spillin' with Sid from 3 Mississippi. How are you guys doing today? Hope you're having a good day. It's beautiful out today. It's a perfect fall day. Lots of crunchy leaves on the ground here. Um, it's happening. The weather is changing. The seasons are changing. We're expected to get some rain towards the end of this week, which is always exciting. Uh, I won't be saying that during the rainy season, but I feel like it's been so long since it's rained. I almost think I'm back in California. Bite my tongue. But seriously, it has been so long since we've had a really good rain. It's kind of crazy. I don't think that it has gone this long without raining since I've been here. So it's weird to have this much dry weather. I got so used to, you know, having to have an umbrella with me all the time because it might be rainy and stormy in the morning, but sunny in the afternoon. And it's just been sunny for the most part. A couple cold days we had that frost come through, but nothing crazy. It hasn't been, you know, overly cold at night. I was able to, turn all the air conditioners off. And I think I have the heater. Technically, I have the heaters on, but I have them set at like 65. And I think it's still just been about 70, 72 in the house. So hasn't been a problem. I've heard lots of rifle fire today and yesterday too. Youth rifle season opened for deer on Sunday, and so I know that there's people out there hunting now, and I can hear it off in the distance. You know, the occasional whack-a-deer, as we call it. I know Mike and Frankie still have to get her rifle sighted in. They did not finish doing that yet. So they need to get on that because I do think they're planning on hunting this weekend at some point, depending on the rain situation. You know, if it's raining too much, you're not going to have that movement probably from the deer that you want. But if it's just a little bit of chilly and whatever, that might be good. So we'll see what they end up doing as far as that goes. I do have some ducks that I would like to get processed this weekend. I've got 12 ducks, 12 Muscovy ducks, and I've probably got about 4 that I want to process out, 4 of the drakes. So I'm going to hopefully I can talk Mike into helping me with that this weekend. Just because it'll go a lot faster if it's the 2 of us, and he wants to part them out. So because we don't really do like a whole duck when we make duck. We usually like he'll cure the breasts. He makes an amazing cured duck breast, but that's got to like be in the fridge at a certain temperature, like while it cures rather, and all this stuff. But it's amazing. I mean, it beats. For those of you that don't know, Muscovy duck is like basically it's a red meat. It looks like a steak when you look at just the breast meat. It's gorgeous. And when you cure it, it is like the best pork belly and cured like salumi and like whatever had a baby. It's really, really good. So I think he's planning on curing at least, a pair of the breasts. And then I'm not sure what we'll do with the rest. We've made Muscovy several different ways. We really love the broth from the carcasses that we make. The duck broth is really good. It's got this really nice, rich flavor, and it's amazing. And the duck fat, he's made confit with that before for us to use and things, and that's been amazing. But really, when you're talking about the meat from the duck, you're really talking about the breasts for the most part. Not that you're not using other little bits and whatever that you can get off of or whatever, but nobody eats the wings on a duck. Those go. If you've got a pig or if you've got something like that where you can throw it in a big pot and cook it and feed it back to them. I've done that a million times. Like I said, we don't have pigs here. We probably likely won't be ever doing pigs again, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I do miss having pigs to a degree, but for the most part, most of the scraps that I could give the pigs, I can also give to the birds. So I still have a good garbage disposal system without having a garbage disposal. So it works okay, I think. I think it works okay. But yeah, so I think that'll be, it sounds like someone's coming up our driveway right now. I have no earthly idea. Oh, it's a UPS. He's getting a delivery. He's going to see me out here talking to myself like a lunatic. But that happens sometimes. So I am excited to get those guys processed and kind of get them off of the docket of, you know, a few more bodies that I basically have to take care of. You know, honestly, we probably would have processed them a few weeks ago, but again, that coincided with Nash getting sick and a few other things going on. So I didn't bring it up at the time to Mike, and we were working on some other stuff. But now I'm like, well, this weekend, this would be a perfect weekend. And we're lucky with the overhang from the shop. I'll show you guys real quick. The overhang from the shop right here, I can't move my hand that way, right there, is a perfect spot for being able to process animals out, because if it's a little rainy, if it's too sunny, it's just kind of a good spot you can set up over there and have everything working. And we ran, the bird hose that I keep over here, we just run it over there. So we've got running water in that spot, and it works really well. So what must our UPS guy think? I swear. She's just out there talking to herself. But anyway, guys, so I think even if it is raining, as long as it's not like storming, if it's just raining a little bit or misting or a light rain for a few hours, whatever, banging through a few ducks is not a big deal. Plucking ducks is always a pain in the butt. I usually do them, I scald them at a slightly higher temperature, and I use a lot more soap in my scalding water. Those of you who aren't familiar, when you process birds, you oftentimes will hear people talk about putting a few drops of like Dawn dish soap in their scalding water. And what this does is it helps penetrate the in between the feathers into the follicles of the feathers, so that they can get penetrated with that warm water to be able to be lifted out. And with ducks even more so, because waterfowl, obviously they're made to go in water and not let the water get in between. You could dunk a duck all day long after, in scalding. This is of course after you've you could do that all day long and not get any water in between its wings, or in between its feathers rather. And also doing like this motion with it, I find helps a lot, because it kind of helps the water turn into the feathers and the feathers kind of pull out in the water. But with ducks, it's a lot harder. A lot of people will use wax blocks and do that. Some people will just skin it out, but there's such good flavor in that duck skin. We prefer to leave it on, especially with some of the ways we want to do it. I believe with the curing, he has to have that skin on there to make it work properly. I could be wrong on that, but I think so. Mike takes care of all the curing, so I'm not the expert on that. But I do, instead of putting a few drops in a big pot, like if I'm doing chickens, I need to some Dawn dish soap in there and put a healthy squirt of it in there. And I usually like to get the water closer to like 165, 170, versus with chickens, I'm usually around 150, maybe 155. And I usually have to do them a little bit longer because it takes time for it to penetrate. And then you really got to work fast. You're cutting off the wings right away, because like I said, you're not using those. And then you're just, you got to get those feathers off. And then of course on the boys, you have that gland that you want to get out of there. So that's one of the first things you take out, is that gland on by their tail, by their hind quarter, I guess. It's their hormone scent gland thing. I don't know, but anyway, it's got to go because it's nasty. You don't want that to stay on your meat. So we'll get that all done this weekend. Like I said, I did an account of who I was going to keep and who I was going to toss to the winter camp. But now it's been a few weeks, and I've kind of forgotten who I said I was going to keep and who looked good to me, and who, but so I kind of got to go in and reassess again, and separate them out. So I think Thursday night at bedtime, I'm going to go in there and reassess. I've got my eye on 2 that I want to reevaluate for breeders that I want to keep. there's one that I think I'm leaning towards. I may keep two. I don't know yet. I might keep two drakes. We'll see. But I'm kind of just sort of watching them right now to see. Nobody has tried breeding yet, and I was kind of surprised, even though, now granted, this is their first season. My experience with Muscovies is that they will oftentimes, now not usually in their first season, but this time of year, you know, into October, when the weather is still nice, but it's starting to shift, they will usually have another clutch and kind of go through another round of mating. I haven't had that with these guys, but again, they're still young. They're technically still juvenile, even though they have age-wise reached maturity. But I think that next season, with the way we've had, you know, the way our weather here is, I think I'm more likely to have a couple early spring clutches from some of the girls, and then they probably will take a little bit of break in the heat of the summer. Like I'm talking, you know, August into September potentially, and then in October get another clutch. And sometimes even the tail end of winter. I've had them go in February and hatch clutches. Your survival rate isn't always as good because the temperatures and the you know, you still maybe haven't gone through your last frost yet. So sometimes they don't always do as well when they try to start a little too soon, because you get that like false spring sometimes occasionally going in the end of February, and then, you know, so they get all like, oh, let's lay a clutch, and they'll start sitting, and then, you know, you still have your last frost to get through, usually sometime in March. And so sometimes you don't really have a great outcome with those. But we'll see. This season will be the real test. I haven't seen any of them trying to breed yet. But I have noticed that a couple of the drakes are starting to try to establish dominance within the flock. So I'm keeping an eye on them. And, you know, it's a little bit harder to tell with these guys because they are all white with their black markings as to who's who. And I haven't been banding them as we've been kind of, you know, watching personalities, but I can kind of tell by some of their markings. I'm like, okay, you, and you, I'm keeping my eye on. Because obviously if a drake is too aggressive in general, whether it's towards me, whether it's toward, or just not friendly, like won't let me pet him, whatever, won't let me work with him, and he's aggressive towards the other members of the flock, then he's not the line that I want to keep going. I want to then, you know, turn him into soup or something. But I do want to, I have a couple real gentle drakes that I want to keep around. And then my hens have all been fantastic. So just need to keep everybody happy, I guess, a few more days here. And then I think we're going to need to reconfigure this weekend or sometime in the next week our poultry netting and move them kind of out this way a little bit from the coop. Time for a new space for them. They've really kind of eaten up everything that they're going to eat up out here and cleared some of the brush under those trees. There's some little ivy growing under those trees that it's not poison oak or anything like that, but I don't know what it is, but I'm not, again, not the plant girl, but one of those kinds of things, and they don't like it. Even the ducks, the geese, nobody's eating it, which I was kind of surprised because usually they like that sort of stuff. So something about that they don't like. And they haven't been touching it. So I think it's about as cleared out as they're going to do, which is fine. That is what it is. So yeah, I think we'll move. There's still some green grass over here, and we'll kind of move them this way too, just so this side that they're in right now, you know, doesn't get too saturated. It's good to flop them around a little bit and spread the nitrogen love of their droppings. So I think that'll be on the agenda this weekend too, provided something else doesn't come up or happen. But I think between butchering Saturday and maybe getting it, I think he's got a couple things he wanted to. Well, no, he finished all his stuff in the garden that he needed to get done. So maybe we're golden. Maybe we can focus on birds this weekend. That's exciting for me. Maybe they can get a little bit further on the brooder side of things, and we can move that netting and process a couple birds out. You know, doing just a few birds, it's almost like it takes as much time to do just a few birds as it does to do like 20 or 30, because half of your time is dragging everything out, setting it up, you know, waiting for the water to heat up, you know, all that stuff, you know, making sure, you know, get the propane and, you know, all that. So there's a certain amount of setup time that you have regardless, versus if you're just, you know, if you're doing 4 birds, it's like you still have to spend all that time setting up, even though those 4 birds aren't going to take you as long. Now, ducks take longer to process because they're really hard to pluck. My plucker is still down. We used to be able to get some of them off, kind of holding them in the plucker a little bit. That's not going to, he hasn't changed that out yet. So we'll have to see about that. But it'll very likely be by hand. And then with him parting it out, then we've got to, you know, he's got to part it out, and then we've got to vacuum seal whatever we're going to vacuum seal and start making stock out of the remainder of the carcass. So, and then once that stock is done, then we'll have to pressure can for, you know, a day or so of getting all that done, depending on how much. 4 ducks, you're probably talking about maybe a couple of quarts. And I know you might be able to get like, I'm trying to picture in my pot how that usually goes. I might be able to get like 2 gallons of stock out of that, to be honest. 4 or 5 ducks, might be able to. So we'll see. That could be exciting. So anyway, guys, that's the update for today. Frankie's got a performance at school tonight, so I gotta go check that out. And it's voting day, because for me it's Tuesday. I know you guys are seeing this on, is it Tuesday today? Yes, it's Tuesday today. My days get so mixed up, guys, I tell you what. So I gotta go vote, gotta go make my voice be heard and do my civic duty. And then I'm gonna go help out at the church for an hour before Frankie's performance tonight. So I got lots to get done, and some editing I gotta do in between all that. So good times, guys. But and then tonight, for you guys, tonight is our live on 3 Mississippi. You know, we missed you guys last week. We ended up taking last week off after losing Nash. I just wasn't up for it, but I'm excited to see you guys this week and kind of touch base and see what's going on with everybody. And we will see you guys tonight at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And as always, stay blessed and safety's off.